Hello, it's Sunday evening and we're in the kitchen, as you can see, and Paul is going to be giving us a basic lesson in how to make a small, white, simple loaf. Now,
I'm making a £2 loaf.
I thought you were going to make a small loaf.
No.
Okay, so we're not making a small loaf. We're making a £2 loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Don't blame us if it goes wrong. This is a disclaimer.
Like old Camp Ranch.
Yes, like old Camp Ranch. Disclaimer.
I am not a baker. That's what he said.
That's a Cornish accent, Paul.
It is supposed to be
American.
American, though.
Sorry, old Camp Ranch. We do apologise. But yes, we are not experts.
Though I have been making bread
Paul has
for
been making bread.
10 years.
Yeah.
We've made our own bread for about 10 years now.
So there you go. So don't blame us if it goes wrong and it goes flat and ends up like a doorstop.
Though sometimes it does end up like a doorstop.
Yeah. So, Paul, if you could briefly tell us what equipment, first of all, is ideal, equipment-wise.
Well, if you're not going to do it with your hands, you need a mixer, and the mixer needs to have a dough hook.
There we go, that's a dough hook.
This is a dough hook. We're using our KitchenAid, which we actually got free at some point years ago.
Yeah, we wouldn't have paid for one because they're far too expensive.
Yeah, and we only use it for this and egg whites.
And cake.
Do you use it for cake?
I use it for cake.
Oh, I didn't know you used it.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, well, yeah. And
when I make cake, which is very rare.
This is a dough hook.
Let's just get a close-up on that properly so the viewers can actually see what it is. Hold on, let me just focus. There we are.
So this is a metal dough hook. The standard KitchenAid dough hook, it has got a white plastic coating.
An enamel coating, hasn't it?
It's a white plastic enamel coating. I don't know. It's enamel. It's got a white coating. Do not get it. If you're going to use it regularly, the enamel flakes off and that goes into your bread.
Ridiculous.
So get a solid metal one.
And these do not go in the dishwasher.
This doesn't go in the dishwasher. It will go all warped
Weird
and horrible if it does. It gets washed by hand, and that's just very easy.
Okay.
Set of scales.
Yeah, these are digital ones, aren't they? That were cheap from Lidl, I think. You got them, didn't you? Got them years ago.
£3.29 years
ago.
And I prefer using a glass jug. You could use a metal jug, but I prefer using a glass jug. And a teaspoon.
Okay, so that's the equipment.
Teaspoon.
What are the ingredients?
Right.
It's very simple, isn't it?
Very simple. We're going to use 550 grams of strong white bread flour.
Let's get a close-up. Sorry guys, let me just close you in on there so you can see. Strong white bread flour.
You can also use wholemeal flour if you want, but we're just doing a plain white loaf today. This is just bog standard from Lidl. If you want to use organic, then do. I think that is about 75p.
Okay.
Then we're going to use a small amount of honey, say half a teaspoon of honey, and then we're going to use a teaspoon of original dry yeast.
So Paul, what's the first stage?
The first thing we're going to do is weigh out, not with millilitres but with grams, 320 grams of plain water.
So what's the reason we weigh the water rather than work on millilitres?
Most bakers, professional bakers, work on percentages to flour. So you'll have 100% of flour and then you might have 60% of water and 5% of yeast and 2% of sugar and 2% of salt. So it's just a way that we do it.
Okay.
It's a way I do it and I find it works for me.
So we're weighing the water, and what was the amount of water again?
So that's 320 grams of water.
320 grams of water.
I'm now going to pop this in the microwave for 40 seconds and
On full power?
On full power. If you wanted to boil a kettle or take it directly, warm water from a tap, you can do that, but you need to be able to put your finger in it and just be a bit warmer than body temperature.
So it's actually tepid water we're talking about?
It's tepid water, yeah.
Okay. So, Paul, what are you adding to the water now?
Just half a teaspoon of honey going into the water. You don't need to use this if you don't want to, but I find it gets the yeast going.
Well, people do use sugar, don't they, to activate yeast?
You could use sugar. You could use malt extract. As you get more experienced in doing different breads, you'd be using different things. If we were making a German bread here with rye flour, we'd be using malt extract. So that's now dissolved, and I'm going to take a teaspoon, just slightly over a rounded teaspoon, add that in, stir that through. Give it a good stir. And now we're going to leave that for 15 minutes. And what will happen is the yeast will start activating, the honey will help that happen, and we'll start getting a little froth on the top of this liquid. Depending upon the temperature, your ambient temperature in your kitchen, this could take maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or it could take about half an hour.
So the frothing is when we know that the yeast is activating?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll come back in 15 minutes and we'll have a look.
Yeah.
So we're back after 15 minutes and you can see that the yeast has got a sort of frothy layer on top. And that's the activated yeast, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah. So we're going to stir that in. And now we're going to weigh out our flour.
Okay, and how much flour?
550 grams.
550 grams. And if you've never used digital scales before, you have to
You put
the bowl on and then you zero, so you're not weighing the bowl as well. Yeah. For those of you who've never done it. Okay. All right.
Okay, so that's 550 grams of flour in there, not sifted or anything, doesn't need to be sifted. I'm going to give this a stir again, and it all goes in.
So you've got the mixer, you put the dough hook on, and the bowl is now locked in place on the mixer. And how long are you going to mix this for?
About a minute.
And what's going to happen?
You want all of the liquid obviously to go into the flour and it all to come together. What we'll do is you'll get in here with the camera and then you can see what type of texture it is.
So here we are, we're in the mixer now, and let's see what happens.
And just turn it on to the lower speed.
So you can see that it's slowly coming together. Slowly forming a dough ball, isn't it?
I think this is going to need a tablespoon more water.
So you can adjust.
Yeah, let's turn that off. Looking at how that's coming together at the moment, it needs a tablespoon more water in there.
So a splash of not cold water though, I take it?
Yeah, it can be cold water.
Okay.
The reason being is that all flours are different. I'm not sure if we said that. So you can buy a flour, and put two in. You can buy a flour, the same flour, doesn't matter whether it's branded or unbranded, the same flour, and it will be different times. So that's starting to incorporate. Right, now I'm turning that off. We're then going to leave it for 15 minutes to do what they call Autolyse, which is where the yeast starts working with the flour and it just loosens up the texture a bit. So we're going to leave it 15 minutes now and then come back to it.
And just to mention that we've actually covered it with a cloth during this period.
Just a tea towel.
A clean tea towel. Okay, so it's had a little time. Its first little moment. So what's happened? Anything? Not a lot.
Not a lot, but you can it has
grown a little bit. Yeah.
I think if I turn that round, can you see in there?
Hold on.
A few air bubbles.
Hold on, let's just try and focus. I think we can see.
Sort of around here, you can see a few air bubbles. So we're just going to put that down and then mix it on slow for 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes, wow. Okay, so that's had a good kneading from the machine for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you were kneading it by hand, you'd be kneading it for about 10 minutes. Oh, it looks very sort of elastic.
Yeah.
Now.
So that's quite soft.
Soft and doughy and sort of spongy and sticky and elastic. So that's the action of the gluten, isn't it?
Yeah. Growing. So just going to put that in the bowl.
So let's have a quick look at that in the bowl. Okay, so you've got your sort of big dough ball there in the bowl.
And then I'm putting that back down.
Yeah.
And then this is going to have a first proving.
Okay.
For an hour.
So this is the first proving. Now, do you want to just quickly maybe explain to people, Paul, what proving actually means?
It's sort of where the gluten and the sugars in the dough, because there's sugars in flour. It's carbohydrate, there's sugars in flour, and it's when the gluten, the yeast, the sugars all start working together and they create a gas. And it's that gas that actually makes the dough prove and expand and have air bubbles in it.
So we call it proving. The word is, I guess it's associated with proving that the yeast and these other chemicals which are in the bread are actually doing their work.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I guess
so. It's kind of proof that things are going the right
we'll
way.
Have to look that up.
But well, that's how I view it. It doesn't really matter, does it, whether that's the real thing or not? And what will have happened in this hour?
The dough, which is sort of down here, will most probably be up to this.
So it's going to double in size, effectively.
Yeah, at this stage it will mostly be treble in size.
Okay, great. So we'll come back in an hour and see what's happened. Let's hope it has worked.
And this is the thing where you can go away now and
do something else,
other things, and
like
just
watch television.
Yeah, or watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, or make YouTube videos, or edit them.
Well, you're going to edit. I'm going to watch.
Okay. Okay, so here's the reveal after an hour, and wow, yeah, that certainly has grown in size. So what do we do now, Paul?
If we just pull it out now, you can see.
Massive. Okay, yeah.
So we're just going to give it a quick mix in there.
And this is called...
This is knocking it back, which is taking the air out. That's all you need to do.
So that's knocking it back, just to take the air out.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it over to the other side now, and we're going to shape it.
Okay, so we're over the other side, and Paul has washed his hands.
Just washed my hands, and what I'm also doing is taking my top off, so that I have nothing restricting my
and this is a
kneading.
clean surface.
Clean work surface. We're going to cook on this, and what we're going to do, what we're doing rather, just
a little bit of flour.
Flour on there, flour on your hand, and then you want to get all of your dough together. Pop it there. I hate wasting bits of dough. That's done.
Okay, so let me just zoom in there, Paul.
So you can see it's quite elastic, still sticky.
Yeah.
See?
So what are you doing here? You're just...
What I'm doing is we've knocked it back. You want to make sure that there is flour, not lots of flour, but some flour underneath. And then we're making this into a ball, which is basically going to be a ball. But what we want to do first is create as much tension on this skin as possible by stretching it and pulling it in.
So you're sort of folding the edges in and turning it as you go.
Yeah.
To sort of create a tight skin on the what is going to be the top of the loaf.
Yeah. So again, go underneath, make sure there's some flour there.
And how long are you doing this for?
Oh, this is almost done. I can feel.
Can't really see everything you're doing there, but that's better.
I can feel the.
So you're sort of judging it, you're feeling it as you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're sort of turning it. You've turned it back over.
And what you do is you're pulling this side and pushing with that side.
Yeah.
And again, what that's doing is
tightening.
Tightening and strengthening that top. Bit of flour underneath there to make sure it does it properly.
Okay.
Take a bit more flour. Okay, put that to one side. Take some of that flour. Now this is not greased. You do not grease this.
So you're just flouring it.
You're just flouring it.
Could you use an ordinary baking tray?
You can use any baking tray.
Because this is a special bread one, isn't it?
This is just a cheap pizza.
Oh, a pizza one, yeah.
From Amazon.
Okay.
We'll put a link to it. So we've tightened that. Now what we're going to do is just lift it over, place it, do the same.
Okay.
Use some of this flour over the top, and that's it. We're going to leave that rise prove for about 45 minutes to an hour. Now, depending on how warm your ambient temperature is, how warm your kitchen is, will depend how quickly this proves. In the winter, when it's really cold, if you don't have much heating, it may take 2 hours. In the summer, when, like this summer, some of these loaves were proving in about 30 minutes.
Okay. So we're going to just leave it there on the stovetop.
Yeah, and we're going to look at it again, and when we think it's almost sort of 1.5 times the size, we're then going to put the oven on to the hottest setting you can.
So we're going to do that once this has risen to sort of 1.5 times its size.
Yes.
We're then going to get the oven ready.
Because we want the oven to be good and hot for this to go in. If the oven's going to take 20 minutes to warm up,
right,
you need to allow yourself 20 minutes in the rise time.
So it's going to rise by 1.5 times. We're going to then put the oven on, and then after 20 minutes we're going to put it in.
Yeah, about another 20 minutes we'll put it in.
Okay, fine. Great, let's come back when that has risen and we'll do a comparison. Okay, Paul, so there we have the risen bread, don't we?
Yeah. Feels quite
The oven is
nice
on, so the oven was turned on about 15 minutes ago or so.
Yeah.
that's heating up. Oh, it's heated up really nicely.
So
to a very high temperature.
Yeah, so at the moment it's heated up to, ours is heated up to 260, but I did say heat it up as much as you can, but 260 is fine. If you can only do 240 or 220, fine, but try and get it above.
Okay. So
what we're going to do now, there are various different ways that you could put this straight in the oven as it is. But you could cut it with a very sharp knife like you see clever bakers do, but most people have got a pair of scissors.
Let me just pull back a little bit. Okay.
So most people have got a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is just nip it 3 times and then we're going to put it in the oven.
Why do we do that?
You want to let the steam out, and
okay.
What will happen at the moment is the crust will dry quite quickly, but you want it still to expand a bit.
Okay.
So if you do that, it lets some of the steam out.
Then. Okay.
So we're just going to do bigger one there.
Okay.
3 snips like that, and then the whole thing
into the oven.
It's going in the oven. Oh, actually, it's going on the bottom like there.
On the bottom. It's a fan oven.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long does that go in for, Paul?
That's in for 30 minutes. But what we're going to do is after 10 minutes, we're going to turn it down to 200 degrees.
So it's on 260 at the moment for 10 minutes, and then we're going to turn it down to 200. After 10 minutes, and then it's going to stay in for a further 20.
20.
Yeah.
So it's 30 minutes cooking time in total.
Okay.
And then we'll take it out.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to take it out of the oven and hope that it's
it's not as flat as a pancake.
Flat or turned into a brick.
It's not flat.
Whoa. Whoa. It's a little bit well done.
That's well done. So there we are, interesting shape.
Sort of, yeah.
It's clearly when I did it there was a seam there which has expanded.
But that's enormous, and I mean, you know, totally edible.
And
Tap
starting
it.
to crackle.
Tap it. Can you tap it? Yeah, it's crackling. And, you know, we will very much enjoy that. So there you go. So that's really it. And onto a rack. Cool.
But see, can you get the crackling? Don't know if you can hear that, but that's the crust tightening.
Okay, so that's how to make. That's how to make a simple, freeform white bread loaf using a mixer. And there you go.
And it's easy.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching, and remember, please do subscribe. Bye for now.
Bye.